Hello, this is Professor Jack. This is Chapter 6, Deviance and Crime. Kind of to break the ice, let me ask you, can you say wolf? Like, wolf? Wolf? Can you say wolf? Go ahead. One, two, three. Wolf! Go ahead and say wolf. Alright, wow. This is Chapter 6, Deviance and Crime. Huge chapter, okay? I have many slides for you, a lot of them. And so, we have definition for deviance, which means social unacceptable behavior, and crime, then it's social unacceptable behavior, which is condemned by law, pretty much, okay? So, note that somewhere, okay? So, theories of crime and deviance, let's go ahead and start with the biological theories, biosocial theories about deviance and crime. And go with a guy with the name of Lombroso, and he had this way of interpreting or identifying who a criminal was, and it was based on physical characteristics. By today's standards, he would have be seen as a racist, right? And so, yeah, it's important to go ahead and mention and view how far we have advanced, since the time we had these kind of people that actually, with his physical stigmata, he had this way of identifying people as criminals based on appearance, elongated jaw, skin tone, perhaps arms, and according to him, if you had ape-like features, according to Lombroso, if you had ape-like features, you would be considered a criminal. Wait, can you believe that? I mean, it's terrible, right? Eventually, his theories were dismissed, of course, by a number of researchers, but others continued with his, with this same ideal of a physical type or physical ideal type. People like William Sheldon and then Juan Cortez, they developed other related research dealing with the biosocial, let's say biosociological, perhaps, in detailing who was a criminal and who wasn't a criminal. So altogether, we dismiss that by today's standards. Going more into chromosomal research and the XYY male chromosome. There was this study which eventually it was dismissed as well due to a counter study. So we can't dismiss, without this, we can't dismiss the nature versus nurture debate of what conduces a person to become a criminal, whether the person is born with the type of gene that would promote him or her to become a criminal, or if this is more of a nurture influence, if it's because of family, peers, perhaps television, perhaps friends and people you hang around with, people that that serve as role models. There's one of the theories that Bandura will go ahead and protect and defend. So let's see, more on the nurture than the nature. In other words, more on the biochemical influences on behavior, outside external influences, more than the chromosomal or genetic influences, which are altogether dismissed. There's no right type, there's no ideal type, there's no physical stigmata. Genetics do not reveal 100% successfully. So the external factors, diet, environmental exposures, say to to asbestos, not necessarily asbestos, but to mercury, allergens that affect your mood and your attitude, right? Say you're allergic to a given chemical, and that chemical is in your everyday environment. Will you react? Would it affect your mood, etc.? Many people are actually allergic to, say, seafood or everyday products like milk, mercury, etc. I mean, they're allergic to these items, and they respond negatively. And how they respond is because of the behavior. You'll get to see that. You get to see that the mood is altered, and all of a sudden become agitated. They can't breathe, or they just become so aggressive, and they sort of like lose it for a second there, right? You meet people like that. They're so addicted. Well, it's bad to drink coffee every day. Many people are addicted to coffee or to some sort of sugar product, right? And they drink that every day, and believe it or not, it has a direct influence on their mood. So it's important to recognize all this. Noise. I mean, air pollution, industrial waste, altogether, according to some of the slides that I have here. So it's an immense chapter. I'm not going to go through every single one of them, but of course, you'll have to go ahead and read these aside, okay? Another element would be alcohol and drugs, and we don't really have to put an argue on that one. You probably pretty much would agree that it does have a tremendous effect on behavior, right, and mood. more on the theories, more on the psychological theories. Sigmund Freud talks about the id, ego, and superego. This other guy by August Acorn, a critic of Freud, but also a psychoanalyst, and they have very good theories, interesting theories. Freud we discussed him a couple of lectures ago, right? And then this other guy by the name of Bandura, and Bandura believes that it's via the socialization process. I think we probably more likely agree with him than any of the other previous, right? Because it does have to do with how you're influenced, right? We just can't call people, based on their appearance or nationality or race. We just can't call people and say you're a criminal or you're a good guy or you're a saint or you just can't do that. We can't do that. It has already been, denied by so many scientists and by people just generally. We do not actually agree with that because we call that racist, and we call those type of insinuations to be racist. But we could go ahead and definitely cater to the sociological and even psychological theories, right? That deal more with more objective type of studies, right? Ventura says that children are influences since infancy. During infancy and childhood, they're influenced by family members, by maternal and maternal role models, perhaps by just friends, by people you hang around with. They pretty much influence who you are, and I think that's very accurate. The sociological theories, dealing with people like Robert Merton and Emil Durkheim, to talk about how people are actually they have these control mechanisms that actually force them or influence them to committing crime. For example, you don't have the means to buy a jacket, a leather jacket, and you want that leather jacket because you're going on a date, okay? So you don't have the money, you don't have a job, so then, naturally, what some of these theories indicate is that you're gonna go ahead and go and steal the stereo or steal, I don't know, a wallet or something, and try to go ahead and get the money to do that, right? So the social control theory is a good theory to study. Travis Hershey's control theory developing into social bond theory. It's another good theory. The stronger your bonds with society, the less likely you are to commit a crime. I think that theory makes a lot of sense. Then we have this other theories, labeling theory. Labeling theory, it's an interesting and important theory because everyone in society, is presumed to have labels. Many times due to race, ethnicity, many times due to gender, nationality, religion, etc. But what's interesting is that many times these labels become real things. Many times these labels are so repeated upon you that they become self-fulfilling prophecies. In other words, you believe them, and they become for real. And so this influence is a powerful one. Is the influence of suggestion. When you're told something so many times, like you're this or you're that, or you're a jerk, or you're good for nothing, or you're lazy, or you're this or you're that. People tend to believe this, and they tend to behave accordingly to the label. And I think it's a tremendous label. It's a tremendous theory to study. Then we go into studying the kinds of crime in the United States. The 5 different types of crimes: punishment, deviance, and crime. Deviance, we will go ahead and call it a sanction. A reaction from people in public. Say you, I don't know. Say you, let's see, put your finger inside your nose and it would be so socially unacceptable to do that in front of people, right? So you get a sanction by the social members, by the social actors. But when a crime is no longer just a sanction, but it becomes punishment. So punishment replaces sanction. Not dealing with the law, with bureaucratic, rational legal law. So the criminal justice system getting now. We'll go ahead and talk about the police and different. I developed these slides from scratch. I did a lot of work in them, but I just don't have the time to disclose these all. But you have all these slides there, and we discuss federal police, local police, and then state police, and then we'll go into the court system and the different types of court, and understand that juveniles have their selected private court, and crime is rather referred to as delinquency. So they're more protected than the general adult, right? And so you have then what I created then is we discussed the funneling effect, and then later I discussed how it works. How this works. The 5 steps: criminal cases, the step 2 judicatory process, prosecutorial defense, adjudication, and sentencing. These are the processes or the steps that this process takes all together, and who's going to be determined to go to jail. Understand that the criminal justice system is not one whole system, but they're like semi-autonomous bureaucracies, starting with the police, the court, and the prison. And so police is responsible for crime and maintenance of order, and then the court determines the guilt or innocence of those accused of committing a crime, and the prison is the location, the place where you actually go and pay the court sentence after going through this procedure, right? This 5-step procedure, this 5-stage procedure, if you want to call it. So yeah, that's all together in a nutshell the criminal justice system. I hope you guys go ahead and read it more in depth. So when it comes now to the last stage, it's prison, and it now has to do with sentencing. Long has been discussed about capital punishment. It's always a debate, right? And the question is punishment good? What do you think? Is it a good thing? Well, let's talk about the different functions of punishment. What are the functions of punishment? First of all, to deter the crime. In other words, to convince you not to commit the crime. Second, to punish criminal behavior, to separate criminals from society, and then rehabilitation. Rehabilitation is more of a social program, right? But more than nothing, let me just go ahead and talk about a little bit of each, okay? Or one or two. Like, what happens is this, right? Since religion has faded so far away from family, and family values by themselves couldn't instill the right type of values and morale in the person, then now it's time for society to institutionalize behavior. So when family couldn't do it, when you didn't have the strength, the social control strength to control yourself, nor when you didn't have a very good or strong religious inclination, and you still behave the way you behave, talking about criminals and people that actually do break the law, and are the people with criminal records and so on, and deviant, then it's time to be institutionalized. It's like the last effort that an entity, in this case, father government, takes place, right? To put you away. Not you. I'm not talking about you. If you're listening to this, I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about just the individual in society. Okay, so don't say that I call you this or that I call you that. It's just the way I speak sometimes. So don't personalize this, right? Okay, so when it comes to sentencing, long has been a history we've had in this country. We've had what the electric chair, but before that, there are other methods that have existed and throughout the world. Like what is it? You have a picture here where people getting stoned to death, the gas chamber, being hanged. What else? The guillotine, the firing squad. These are like very terrible ways to go. Yeah, then more like a modern method would be injection, the lethal injection. So we have a slide here, kind of to discuss who's in favor and who's against capital punishment. I'm afraid we're not going to do that in this session, but it's important to understand. If I had a class and if you were to be, we had this face-to-face interaction, we would go ahead and toe-to-toe and discuss these methods, and some of them may actually be classified as not inhuman, and cruel. Yet others might actually be more, not necessarily pleasant, but more humane. For example, nowadays we think many think as the lethal injection as the kind of like the most humanitarian way to put an end to the career or life of a person that was or that continues to be a criminal. So just that. Okay, we had a total of so many slides, so many lecture notes today. Thank you for your time, and I hope you get to hear from me in the next lecture. This is Professor Jack.